Alrighty, good morning everyone. How is everyone today? Whatever time it is in your neck of the woods, it's great to have you here. My name is Victoria Jennings and I'm from Entrepreneurs Business School, and this is Taking Care of Business, which is a session, a live that I do every week at this time for about half an hour or so, and we just talk about business. So today I'm going to be talking about productivity, which was requested by one of our members here, so thank you very much for that. And if you'd like different topics, please don't hesitate, send me a message and let me know what topics you'd like me to do here. They're things that you might be struggling with, so I can give you some insights or some tips and tools to make it better. So today, as I said, is about productivity. So I'm introducing the productivity blueprint, which is how to thrive while focusing on the things you do best, okay? Which sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It makes it really easy if you're focusing on the things you do best. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I cannot see the chat as I go through, okay? So, but I promise you that once this is published, I'll go in there and I'll look at any questions you've asked and I will answer them, all right? I don't know why that happens, but anyway, that's what happens when you do it on your phone, I guess. Okay. So what is the productivity blueprint? Basically what it is a way of dividing up your week and dividing up your day so that you're actually doing the things in order in a nice, easy way of not jamming the gears. So, you know, we talk about the traits in the Entrepreneurs Business School profiling tool, entrepreneurial profiling tool. And the 4 different traits are measured and they make up who you are, all right? Well, just like they make up who you are, they're also a great way to make sure you are organizing yourself in the correct way so that you're not going from gear 4 to gear 1 or gear 1 to gear 4, which causes a vehicle, a car, to stall, okay? And you can stall yourself as well if you're going through those gears too quickly or too much of a big gap between those gears. It's very difficult to go from gear 1 to gear 4, right? In fact, impossible in the car, right? In a manual car. So, it's not done, but I find a lot of people don't organise their time in a way that's going to suit their trait, their predominant trait, and they get into all sorts of problems, including me. I mean, I've done it too, all right? So I'm just going to give you some insights today as to what that looks like and how you can arrange your time so that it actually is in alignment with who you are. So being productive because of who you are and how you show up in your business. Okay, so just to recap for everybody, especially those who haven't done their profile yet, there are 4 traits that we actually measure and we give percentages to each of them. And those traits are strategic, which is the big picture, eagle-eye view, futuristic, 5-year strategy plans, all about strategy, obviously from the name, and, you know, the 200-kilometre view. So in future time, not in present time. That's what that trait is all about. The communicative, which is everything to do with motivating the team, promoting things, selling, connecting with people all the time, whether that be through networking or whether that be one-on-one engagement or whether that be through social media, etc. That's the communicative. So very much about the people. Implementational, which is all about getting things done in present time, in the moment, getting through the checklist, making sure it all happens, and making sure that everyone in the team is in harmony, and everyone is working on projects, and those projects are gaining momentum, all right? And then we've got the logical, which is all the detail. So this is where we measure the finances, we calculate everything, we evaluate everything, we analyze everything from every angle, and then we come up with systems and processes that will support all of that. So very much dot the I's and cross the T's. Okay, so it is the slowest of all of the traits in our profiling tool. It's the slowest one because there's so much detail to look after. So its gear number is gear number 1, right? It's really, really slow. Gear number 2 is implementational because it's not as slow as gear number 1, but it still is in the detail. And so it's still a very low, it's one of the lower gears. This is not good nor bad. This is just, you know, how a car works. This is how a business works, right? So, and then gear number 3 is communicative. We're building up a little bit of speed here now. They make decisions faster, etc. And then gear number 4 is the top level, you know, speed on the highway cruising, which is strategic. So that's kind of how it all works. Now, a lot of people will organise their week. They might be doing things on strategy on Monday, and then they'll be doing logical on Tuesday, and then they'll be doing communicative on Wednesday. And the gears are all over the shop. Now, it's not so bad to go, you know, 1 gear up or 1 gear down, and we can do that in our cars quite easily. But when you go from gear 4 to gear 1, you're going to crunch the gears. You may even stall the car. And the same thing is true of us. Okay, the same thing happens to us. So that crunching of gears could turn up as other shiny objects that distract us. You know, we'll do anything to be distracted because we don't want to be working on that particular trait because it's not our trait. It's not our genius zone. It's not where we're comfortable. So we'll procrastinate. We'll do all of those sorts of things. And the same thing happens when we crunch those gears. When we go more than 1 up and 1 down, we can crunch the gears, and that can derail us for being productive. And once we do that, we lose momentum, and we're not as productive because instead of taking an hour to do something, we've now gone off and we've made a cup of tea, or, you know, we've decided we're going to make some phone calls, and that goes to a different gear again. That takes to communicative gear, right? And you're working logical gears, so that's grinding the gears. So the idea of this is to set up your week so that you're in a flow and you're working on, but focusing on those different traits, but in a nice 1 gear up or 1 gear down way. So for me personally, I'm strategic, right? 80% strategic, so that's really high. So I reward myself because I'm kind of like the person who loves to take their medicine and get it over and done with and do it quick, right? So then I can get into the good stuff. So take my medicine and then have a chocolate type of girl, right? So I like to reward myself being in my genius zone area at the end of the week. That's my reward, to go into the strategic and look at the future, you know, what's coming up, what I've got to develop, and all those sorts of things that I love to do. So that's my reward. Other people like to be working in their genius zone area straight up front on Monday, and that's how they operate. So it all depends on what you want to do, but always make sure that your days are only 1 gear up or 1 gear down. Okay, so I normally like to start my week with the medicine, which for me, the medicine is logical. I really don't like it. So I do that on Monday and get that over and done with. Now, that doesn't mean to say that on Monday I only work in logical areas. So that means accounts, that means paying bills, and that's what I do on Mondays. I always do that. Paying salaries, you know, I make sure that the salaries are paid, and that type of thing. I don't work out what the salaries are, but I do the final approval, right, and it goes out of the account. So I want to do that on Monday because then it's done, it's over, and I can have a, you know, bit of a better time maybe the next day. Not really, but anyway, I've got 2 traits that I've got hardly any percentages in. So what for me works, that works for me, to do the thing that I'm out of alignment with the most first, and reward myself with the things that I'm in alignment with further on down the week, right? But it doesn't mean that on that day, on Monday, that I'm only doing logical. because that doesn't happen, because the phone will ring, an email will come in that you have to attend to, right? So you're incommunicative straight away and you have to do that. But at least you know that you're going to be going up or down gears, and you know why it's feeling a bit out of sorts, or why you want to stay there and you want to focus on it because it's more of who you are, okay? And then you realize, yeah, but I've really got to get this other thing done, so I'm going to get back into that mode, and you can get yourself into that zone because you understand what those zones are. You understand what the genius zone of logical is all about. So you can think about that and you can get yourself in that space and get yourself in there, right? Whereas when it's your natural space, when it's your natural genius zone, you don't have to think about getting into it because you always want to be there anyway, and you're in there a lot more than in the other areas. Does that make sense? So that's why we can get really productive or we can get really non-productive. Depends on the genius zone we're working in at the time. So why do we focus on the tasks that are in alignment with our strengths? Because they're the easiest for us to do. They're the ones we don't have to think about. These are the ones that are second nature to us, like they come naturally. And so we don't procrastinate over those. We just get in and do it without even thinking about it. Whereas the ones that are not in alignment with who we are, they're the ones that we have struggles with, or they're the ones we get frustrated with. We get frustrated with ourselves, and they're the ones that, you know, instead of taking someone who's good at that and best at that, might take them an hour to do that task, it will probably take us 2 hours to do that task. So, you know, for example, for me, doing a spreadsheet, if I had to do it, I delegate, I outsource that as soon as I can, right? But if I had to do it, it would take me 2 hours. For someone like my son, who's got 68% logical in his makeup, he would do that in 20 minutes because that's his zone, that's his space, that's his jam, right? So when we understand that as soon as the business is able to, as soon as the business can afford it, we want to outsource or delegate those tasks that are not in alignment with who we are, okay? And you can tell the ones that are not in alignment with who you are because they're the ones that you'll always procrastinate over. They're the ones that are always still on your list, and they might have been on your list all week, okay? So they're the ones we want to focus on as soon as we can to get rid of them and get them off our plate. Because the other thing is that the biggest bang for our buck in our business is our genius zone. That's where we make our money. That's where it all happens. That is easy for us. That is our natural way of being, our natural state of being. And that is what's going to bring the dollars in. So we want to make sure that as practicable as possible, as soon as possible, we can focus 100% of our time in that trait, in that genius zone. And that's the name of the game. Also, we want to make sure that the people who are working with us are going to complement our way of being. So as the business owner, I want to make sure my team is not like me. That would be crazy because all we're going to do is dream up all these beautiful products to develop, and we're not going to get anything done because in our minds we've already done it, we've already sold it, it's already been successful because we're always in the future. Okay, so then we've got to come back and actually make it happen. We need other people to help us make it happen. Okay, we need to delegate the projects that come out of that strategy. So when you understand that, you know exactly who you need on your team next. You know exactly what trait you need to have. And that's fantastic because that means you're not going to waste money or time on recruiting the wrong people for your business. It's like when you are recruiting people, we love people who are like us. We are naturally drawn to people who are the same as us or very similar to how we are in our way of being. And that's why people often recruit themselves over and over and over again and then wonder why nothing's getting done in their business. And it's because they haven't filled in the gaps that they need to fill in to complement who they are. We need people in every genius zone in our business. And there's another way that I share in Roadmap to Means Bootcamp, which is the 1, 2, 3 principle. And you only need 3 people on your team to cover the 8 profiles. And that's because we have profiles that are complementary profiles to us, and we can step into those for a short time. As long as it's not our primary focus, it's all right to dip our toe into them. So that's why we only need 3 people, including ourselves. So we only need 2 recruits or 2 outsourced people to cover the whole 8 areas of business, the whole 8 stages of business, which is pretty cool. So that's in the Roadmap to Means Bootcamp that I really go into that in detail. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to divide our week into 5 areas. So we've got 4 areas that we measure. That's strategic, communicative, implementational, and logical. All right, we measure those. And there's another area which is called purpose, which we don't measure because our purpose is continually evolving and changing. But we work on that too. And do you know what when we work on that? When we meditate. We're in purpose when we do meditations. And hopefully we would do that every day. There would be a time, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you like to meditate, which is when you're in your purpose trait, when you're working on yourself, when you're in gratitude, when you're looking at giving back, when you're really going into your why. Why are you here on the planet? Why are you in this business? Why are you running this business? All of those things. So that's purpose, and hopefully you will do purpose every day. I like to do it in the morning, but it all depends on your way of being and when you like to do it, all right? So that's another one that you'll do, but you'll do that every day. Then you divide your days up into those, for the week, you divide them into different focuses, remembering only 1 gear up or 1 gear down. Make sure you've covered the whole lot by the end of the week. Then you know you've worked on every aspect or window, if you like, of your business. So that should start eliminating any limps that you might have as well in your business, or any bleed that you might have in your business, because you're going to be focused on the areas you normally don't see. Because we all see very easily our genius zone area, but we struggle to see the other areas. So if we're focused on that, we know what that is, and then we focus on that in the business and we have a look. And yes, it will take longer when, it's not our genius area. Yes, it will. And that's okay. And we know why it takes longer. And that's really great too, because that gives us permission to take longer and not get frustrated with ourselves. Okay. So I encourage you to, align your own strengths with the tasks in hand that you have to do. I encourage you to work on the areas that you don't like, whether you like to do that first or whether you like to do that last. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. But make sure you actually do spend some time in there and work in there and get things done in there. Now, for me, it's implementational and logical. Other things where I'm completely out of flow. I'm completely out of alignment with those two. And, logical's 4% and implementational 0%. So I need a lot of help with scheduling. I need a lot of help with timing. Okay. But in the other areas, particularly strategic, I don't need any help there at all. That's 80%. I'm good. I love being there and I keep going there naturally. And then I've got communicative, which is 16%, which is still not high, because remember, the rule of thumb is anything under 20%, you outsource or delegate as soon as you can. Okay. But if you've got different percentages to that, which I know you will, if you're over 20%, then you can tap into those areas and you'll be pretty comfortable tapping into those areas. And that's okay. That's great. Okay. But if you're not, then you know why you're struggling. You know why you avoid it. You do it naturally. It's not something you do consciously. You do it naturally. So that's all good. So you're going to get a lot of benefits when you actually start to delegate, and you can delegate the things that are not in alignment with you, the tasks that are not in alignment with you. When you've got a team together, you'll we have project-based teams. So you'll have every team member will be on every project in your business, but those team members will only work in their flow. They will only work where they're in alignment to the trait. So we're going to make them more of a genius in their areas and let them focus on that, which means, and I've never seen this any other way, your genius area, your genius zone, is always, always, always aligned to your purpose, all right, and to your passion. Always, always in alignment. I've never seen anything different to that. So when you're in alignment with your purpose and passion, you're not going to struggle with doing those tasks. You're going to have fun doing those tasks. You're going to enjoy doing those tasks. And so what happens in the team, in your business, is everyone loves what they're doing and they're doing what they love. And then what happens in the business? What happens is we create a fantastic culture where everyone's loving what they do. They're no longer struggling. They are complementing each other. They're backing each other up. They know who is best at doing what. So there's no arguments about who should do what in each project. Okay, so what happens is absenteeism goes down because everybody, they don't need a doona day anymore. Right? It's not a grudge to come to work. It's enjoyable to go to work. And we're empowering them to be themselves. We're empowering them to be more of a genius in the areas that they're passionate about. So the morale goes through the roof as well, and productivity also goes through the roof because there's no more procrastinating in that group, in that team. It's pretty cool. Okay, so the other thing you can do, especially if you're a startup, and I know there's lots of startups here in the group, if you're a startup and you can't afford yet to have those extra team members, whether they be employed or whether they be outsourced or contracted, okay, there's another thing you can do. You can exchange your services with other people whose genius zone is different to yours. You can give them something, and in return they'll give you something, and no money has to exchange hands. So in this group, all right, you should be looking and asking and sharing your profile with everybody and your business with everybody so that you can work out pretty quickly who you can partner up with to do an exchange, to do a barter of your services or your product, whatever that might be. Okay, you might have a program that you're running in beta. This is a great place to invite people in to be in your beta group because they'll help you, give you feedback, etc. Right? There's lots of things you can do in this group, and I don't see anybody doing it. This is your opportunity to build your networks in this group. This is an opportunity to sell what you do to members in this group who may be looking for it. This is an opportunity to exchange services so you don't have to pay for it at the moment if you're in startup mode. There's a whole range of things you could be using this group for, and I would encourage you to use this group for. Okay? If you haven't done your profile, for goodness sake, get your profile done and then share with everybody what your profile is, and then everyone can identify who they need to have maybe a conversation with and find out how you can help each other, help your businesses with the complementary skills to yours. Does that make sense? This is a wonderful opportunity in this group to be able to do. We've got 350 people here. I'm sure we can find people who we could exchange services with. And they're all different profiles. Everyone's, you know, there's lots. All the profiles are represented here in this group. And then as revenue grows, then you can start contracting VAs or you can start recruiting your team. But you'll know who to recruit as well because you need those with complementary skills to yours. Okay? So this will make you more productive if you can start swapping services with people. And you'll be helping make them more productive as well. So I'd like to open the floor now if you've got any questions. I can't really see them, but please type them in the comments below. Okay, and I will look at them and I will answer them in the comments so everyone can see the answers as well. I'm happy to do that if you have any questions there. If you'd like to do your profile, then please ask for the profile link and the team will get it to you. If you'd like to have a conversation with me about the Roadmap to Millions Bootcamp, I'd love to talk to you. So request a link to a meeting and I can have a chat to you about that, because this is the stuff that I share briefly in this group on 30 minutes, right, live. But this is the stuff that I go into very deeply in the Roadmap to Millions Bootcamp. And I think you can see what a difference it makes, how different it is to the normal how to run a business 101 is very, very different to that. And how once you learn it, it will stay with you forever and you'll forever be running businesses this way. So thanks again, everyone, for being here with me, taking care of business. This is what I love to do with everyone. This is how I love to pay it forward. Business has been very kind to me, and I would like to spread that so it's very kind to a lot of other people as well. And we're all successful, and then we can all have fun together. So until next Thursday, have a great week. Have fun in your business. And I look forward to talking to you all eventually one day soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.